Welcome to the Get Real Podcast, your high-octane boost of full-on reality therapy for personal, business, and investing success with your host, Ron Phillips, because somebody's got to tell it like it is.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Get Real Podcast. Ron Phillips here. And we talked about this topic in the past, but never quite like we're going to do it today. I'm very excited about that. 1031 exchanges have become, we're doing a lot of them right now. A lot of 1031 exchanges right now. And that may come as a shock to a lot of you, but I think when you consider some of the other things we've talked about recently, you'll start to understand why. Some of you out there right now are saying, what the heck is a 1031 exchange and how does it work? It just so happens that I have Daniel Osman of deferred.com, which is, we're going to talk quite a bit. I think the coolest part of what we're going to talk about today is what they're doing that's unique in the space, because 1031 exchange, welcome to the show, by the way, Daniel, as I go on my long monologue here. Welcome to the show.
I'm locked in. It's going, I'm like super into it. I appreciate it, Ron. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, 1031 exchange has been around for a long time. So this is not like a new thing.
Over 100 years, which people are surprised to find out. I've
been doing this for 25 years now, and they were around a long time before me. So I knew it was a long time, but I actually didn't know it was 100 years either. What is a 1031 exchange? Just in its simplest form, Daniel, for anybody out there who's going, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. What is this?
So in its simplest form, a 1031 lets you sell an investment property and then purchase another investment property. And if you do that and stick to a few rules, you can defer your tax bill. So a lot of people, when they go to sell their investment property, they're hopefully selling at a gain, right? And with real estate, it could be quite large. You have people who have been holding on to properties for 20, 30 years. Those people have taken depreciation, so their basis in the property is really low. They might have a really large gain. If you go to sell that property, like anything in life, if you have a gain, the government's going to come for their share. But the 1031 exchange is magical. Albert Einstein, I think, said the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. And I think the ninth wonder of the world is the 1031 exchange. You can sell something for millions of dollars in gain and defer your entire tax bill. It's crazy.
Yeah, and the really cool thing about this, there's two types of people that I've found. There's the people who complain about people who are rich, and there are people who study people who are rich and go, that's not really that complicated. I could do that. But one of the really cool, quote unquote loopholes, whatever you want to call it, of the rich is to 1031 exchange. And then when you pass away, your kids get a stepped up basis, which, if you don't know what a stepped up basis is, all it means is that they adjust the price that you're in the property, I guess. Trying to use a word, not basis. You got another word, Daniel?
It's hard not to use basis, especially for me. My background, I'm a CPA. I got my master's in accounting. The way I describe basis is, people think their sales price involves like their debt and whatever, but I just think basis is, it's what you purchased the property for, plus any improvements you made to it, any CapEx, minus depreciation. And the way the government calculates your gain, your taxable gain, is what'd you sell it for minus your basis.
Yeah. And so a stepped up basis means you get to reprice, you get to adjust all of that basis and all of those years to normal market. And then it gets passed on. They start all over again with the same process.
Yeah, that's one of the common misconceptions too with the 1031 is someone's like, the tax bill is eventually going to come due. So why am I going to go through the trouble? And like you said, the swap till you drop, the 1031, it's one of the best estate planning tools out there. You can own a property for 50 years and have a zero basis, and now that property is worth $5 million. Your kids can inherit the property if you've 1031 forever, and their basis, instead of being zero and having a $5 million gain, it's stepped up to that $5 million value that you're talking about, and they can turn around and sell the whole property the next day. You went your whole life not paying taxes because you were 1031ing, which is amazing. And then, unfortunately you passed away, but your heirs get that step up. They can sell the entire thing, not pay any taxes. And so you've just created generational wealth.
Yeah, it's the tax laws are written by people who are wealthy for people who are wealthy. And the sooner that you realize that, the better off you'll be, because any of us can do this stuff. This is not just a wealthy person's game. Any of us can do this. And so 1031 exchanges are really, really cool because, part of the strategy of buying and holding real estate is you buy it, you hold it for a while, and then it is supposed to create more investments. That's what Daniel was talking about earlier with the, what was it? The eighth wonder of the world?
Compound interest.
There you go. And an uninterrupted compound interest is really the miracle. So compound interest for a minute doesn't really, I don't know if you guys have ever seen a compound curve, but compound curve is pretty flat for a number of years. And then it just takes off it looks like a hockey stick. And it's the uninterrupted. And that's what 1031 exchanges do. It makes it so you don't interrupt the gains by paying taxes. Have you ever seen, Daniel, everybody's seen the penny a day doubled for 30 days?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that taxed?
No, I haven't seen what the tax bill is on that, but I imagine it's going to be 20, and depending if you're in California or New York, to 40%.
So we did it. I think I did it at I can't remember the tax bracket. I want to say it's around 30 something percent tax bracket. But if you tax every gain for that month, the crazy thing is instead of having like $11 million or whatever it is, you have 20,000.
Crazy.
Taxes, just paying taxes on those gains, the interruption of the taxes on those gains is the difference between $20,000 and $11 million in the same time period. So that is what Daniel's company, deferred.com, does. So tell us a little bit about your company. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing that kind of changes the industry just a little bit, because, man, I've been on this rant for a few years about our industry, like the real estate industry, just in general. It's so archaic, man. It's so old. Nothing has changed in forever. I'm pretty sure the Rockefellers were doing stuff the same way that we're doing it right now. It's insane how old all of these things are. So talk to us a little about what you've done with 1031 exchanges and how deferred.com is different.
Yeah. So a little background on us is this, our founding group. This is our third startup, our third venture-backed startup. Everything's been in real estate and fintech. And we were trying to figure out what we want to do next. And we actually stumbled into 1031s by accident. And I told you earlier, I'm a CPA. I worked at Deloitte for 5 years. Hand up, I didn't know what a 1031 was until we stumbled into this. And I'm a professional, right? And it just goes to show you how many people don't actually know about it. And anyways, we were trying to figure out what to do. Our CEO wanted to do his own personal 1031. So he starts digging around, figures out he has to use what's called a qualified intermediary, or a QI, right? He was like, what's that? Started trying to interview some to see who he should use, start trying to get recommendations. Went down a rabbit hole, started looking at their websites, saw that they seemed pretty archaic. The customer service was not great. You couldn't get callbacks. Email was slow to respond. Finally got a hold of some, and then realized, okay, so he had to pay a $1,500 fee he was getting charged to do the exchange, and then they were saying they had to hold his funds. So he was like, what about that interest? It was a pretty large sum of money. And they said, oh, well, we keep that. And so he was like, all right, so you're charging me a fee, and you're going to keep all the interest earned on my money. We started digging into the software and what kind of service they provide, and everything was offline. Everything was done over email. And so we thought there was this really interesting opportunity to take software and add it to the space and modernize the 1031 experience. And it turns out no one's really ever done that before. So what we've done at Deferred is we actually, we raised a seed round of 3.6 million. We purchased a qualified intermediary out of San Diego that's been doing this for over 30 years. And then we spent 14 months building the software. And so this software, it actually helps us automate and streamline the exchange process. If, I had a call, this is last week, this is a true story. Client called me and said, "Hey, I'm closing today. Can you help me?" And I said, "Yeah, not a problem." He goes, "Are you sure?" He was shocked. I was like, "Yeah, what's the problem?" He goes, "Well, I have a QI I've used for years and they told me it would take 2 days to get set up." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, that's because there's no software. They have to manually update and get everything done." And he thought that was reason. He's like, "That's reasonable that it would take 2 days." And I was like, "Why?" I was like, "I can do it in 9 minutes. You fill out one form for me that takes you 5 minutes. I can create your exchange documents and we're good to go." So that software allows us to be so efficient that we can do a bunch of cool things like not charge fees. So the typical fee to do a 1031, someone's going to charge 800, someone's going to charge 1500, the average is 1200. We're the only QI in the country that doesn't charge a fee. And so our goal there is we think every single person should do a 1031 exchange, and we don't want that fee to be a distractor and the reason you don't go to try to at least preserve your wealth and not pay the tax bill. The second thing we do is touched on that interest. Unless you're a savvy investor, the intermediary, the QI, isn't going to tell you about at least we've seen, they're not going to openly tell you like, "Hey, I'm making money on your interest," unless you ask about it. And they're certainly not going to share it. It's very rare for an intermediary to openly share or talk about it. They kind of charge you this fee and distract you from the interest that they're earning. And I speak to brokers all day who have been doing this for over 20 years, and they're shocked when I tell them about the interest that the QIs earn. And it's like, they're like, "Oh, it makes so much sense when you think about it." But the QI is almost this afterthought in the exchange process or in the sale and the purchase. So what we actually do is we share that interest with clients on larger exchanges. We'll actually pay them. And then the last thing we'll do is we actually don't even have a sales team. And we actually are one of the only QIs that will pay a referral fee. So a lot of brokers, attorneys, CPAs, like we made it a win-win for everyone involved. Where instead of, if you go to an exchange, another QI, they have a salesperson that earns commission every time they get you to come in. Instead, we want to incentivize brokers, attorneys, and our CPA partners.
I love any disruption of the real estate market. I just am an absolute fan of marketplace disruption. And so as soon as I heard about this, and a lot of the people who are listening will know Laura, who works at Deferred, and because they've used her for years. And one of the main reasons she moved to you guys is because this is groundbreaking stuff. It is the kind of thing that, like a tectonic shift. I mean, it is massive. Maybe it doesn't feel that way to everybody, but you got to understand, like the moats that these institutions have built around themselves, they're so ensconced that it takes something like what Daniel and his team have done to make any impressive change, because everybody is comfortable just making money the way they're making it. And that's everybody. It's title, it's 1031, it's lending, it's insurance, it's everything. It's so old school. And then you have to have all of these things come together in this symphony of a real estate transaction to make it work. And why have a 1031 exchange process that's super complicated when it's really not that complex?
Can I blow your mind, Ron? We interviewed an exchange officer, because we're growing, and we interviewed an exchange officer who we asked all of our interviewees, how do you track your exchanges? Their company used a whiteboard to track exchanges, and that's not uncommon, and everyone uses spreadsheets to do it. A lot of people use spreadsheets. It's very unsophisticated. We've built, as silly as it sounds, like we're holding millions of dollars. Like these companies are holding millions of dollars. You have to trust the QI. There's no regulations. It's kind of a scary industry. And no QI can show you the money sitting in your bank account. Like you can't log into a portal and see the money in the account. No one can show you that. Everything is done offline over email. We've created the only client-facing online portal. All the clients that work with us, they have full transparency into their exchange. They can log in. They see what their deadlines are. They see any outstanding tasks. They see who their dedicated assigned exchange officer is. They can schedule them and message them directly through the app. They see all their sale and purchase details. It's stored securely for them. So, you do an exchange for 6 months, and then 5 months after, you have to dig through emails to file your tax return. With us, all their documents are securely stored there. It makes it super easy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that oftentimes I ask myself why, you probably answered this question while you were raising money. My guess is that my guess is that the venture firm at some point stopped and said, "This sounds like such a no-brainer. Like, why has no one ever done this before?" And yeah, did you get that question?
You're spot on. Why is no one else doing this, and what's stopping someone from doing this? Like it seems like such an easy, thing to do. So, the VC firms, they do their own due diligence. They're not stupid. They reached out and they actually interviewed one of the top people at another QI. And, one of the things they had told us is that person said they estimated 40% of their back office could be automated, but they're too bloated to do anything.
Yeah, it just blows my mind. It just absolutely blows my mind. I really feel like, Daniel, that the companies, the industry, each one of those segments of the industry, they are so. I think they have a sense that they're just safe. Like everything's just going to keep going the way that it is. I mean, I'm a real estate broker, and I'm here to tell everybody who's listening: if you think that the real estate brokerage market is going to be the same in 2 years, you are nuts. And if you're a real estate broker and you haven't tried to figure out how it's going to change, you are already behind, because it's going to get disrupted. It is. I'm actively trying to disrupt it. So if everybody didn't know, I'm already actively doing that. And it doesn't take much in a lot of these cases. You just have to get to somebody who has an open mind about some change that makes sense. Like everything you've said, I don't think anybody listening, if you're listening to this, I think if you're sitting there going, yeah, like the VC, this is the biggest no-brainer. Like, why has no one done this before? And I'm not sure you have a great answer for that, Daniel. What did you tell them? I don't know. Like a no-brainer. I'm not sure.
Well, so at the time when they asked us, we're like, yeah, to us, it's common sense. Like, why is no one else doing this? And, being in the industry only for a short time, but like understanding, there was no reason for them to change. Like, no one's pushing the industry. No one did anything different. So why would you go and start, charging no fees or sharing interest or, creating the software if everything's been working the way it's been working? I just don't think they had I don't think they had a reason. And, a lot of the people in the industry, real estate in general, like you said, it's just archaic. The biggest objection we get is this sounds too good to be true. And so I that's like what I have to sell against is this seems like a scam. And so I tell people I can charge you if you want, but I really don't have to. And here's why the other people shouldn't be charging you.
Yeah. It's eliminating efficiencies in the market, and people get really twisted up about AI and technology coming in and taking their jobs. What we ought to be thinking about is what industries are we able to create that don't exist right now that are going to make life better for everybody because of the technology. Like you've created an amazing amount of efficiency, and that this is going to disrupt the industry. People will lose their jobs, no question about it, because there's just not that many people needed to do what they've been doing forever. And just wait until everything gets on blockchain and all of that stuff. I mean, it's going to eliminate so much inefficiency. But then the people who rise to the top are going to be the people who go, oh, okay, I can see the efficiency gap here. What can I do that's new and exciting, like what you've done, Daniel? And I'm super excited about what you've done and what your company has done. What's next? Like, what are you guys? Is there some innovation that like, Ron, don't ask me about the innovation. I'm not sharing that right now. But what else do you guys have on the roadmap that might be coming?
Well, we're actually working on this really cool feature for our product. A lot of title companies we learned they get 1031 exchange clients at the closing table, and they didn't set up the exchange. And so for an escrow officer working on the closing, that could be a real a real pain. They have to go and redo all documents. It could delay closing. And so we're actually working on this product where we have an LLM, a language learning model that we've trained, and an escrow officer who partners with us, an escrow company, all they have to do is upload a settlement statement, and that LLM in under 60 seconds pulls all the relevant, because that's all you need to create an exchange. It pulls all the relevant info off that settlement statement and creates the exchange documents in under a minute. And so we're training it and we're testing it, and it's working really well so far. And so now we're just working with a few design partners on the title side. But this thing that historically, like, an escrow officer would have complained about and been really upset, and it's a pretty big lift on their operational team, and then could delay closing and is a big issue. You upload the settlement statement to this LLM product that we have, and your exchange is ready to go.
Man, how cool is that? And so, not to get a little bit off topic, but one of the things I hope you take away from this podcast today is innovation in a way that serves the public, serves humanity, is the way to create wealth for me. Like, it means one of the ways, obviously real estate's another way. But if you see, like, so many people sit on these brilliant ideas like what you've had, and they don't do anything. You can't be the first person who thought about this. You can't. You're a smart guy. You can't be the first guy who thought about this. But thinking about it and then executing on it are two different things. It's just two completely different things. And so, I mean, you think about that. Use a little bit of AI. I mean, all of the settlement statements are they're all basically the same. So teaching AI to read them can't be that complicated either. I mean, that just, see, innovation, it just screams, why is nobody doing this to make everybody's life easier? Think about the rest of the real estate transaction. Why does a real estate transaction take so long? Just tell me why. Well, it's not going to, at least in the investment world, it's not going to for much longer because we're shortening the cycle.
Adoption's hard in commercial real estate specifically too. Like, even though we're doing something, the QI, call it out, it's a commodity business. If you work with any good QI, they're all going to get you the same outcome. They're going to make sure your exchange is compliant. They're going to give you good customer service, and they're going to help you. We've taken a commoditized business, and added true differentiators and value to where, if you stack it up, us versus someone else, it truly is a no-brainer to use us. Even with that, for us to get adoption with some of these brokerages and like getting referrals or having clients come in, we have to meet in person, because they have to make sure, at the end of the day, commercial real estate is still a relationship-based business. And so it's a lot of hand-to-hand combat, getting the word out there and just telling and meeting people in person and showing, hey, we're legitimate and these are our tools and this is what we're doing. We've also built really cool, we're trying to give more than we take. And so we actually have built tools for brokers and clients. Like, we have an AI tool on our website that's free called Ask Artie. It's a ChatGPT wrapper, but we've trained it on the IRS tax code and all 1031 private letter rulings. It's really good at real estate taxes. It'll give you its sources. So you can ask a question. It'll give you the case law. It'll give you the IRS section, and then you can go and give that answer and all that info to your attorney or CPA. Save on some billable hours. We've built an exchange analysis. We asked a lot of brokers, how do you show clients the benefit of a 1031? We saw a lot of really bad Excel spreadsheets. No offense. They got the job done, but they weren't very pretty, and a lot of them were missing. The formulas were incorrect. And we built this tool that we create free analysis for clients to show them, here's what your estimated tax liability is. Here's the benefit of a 1031. It's going to be zero. Here's some reinvestment options you can go into and your expected return. By the way, yes, we know you are looking at a 5 cap versus you can earn 7.5% in the S&P. Here's that analysis over 10 years. And by the way, you're still so far behind from paying the tax bill, you're not going to catch up.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that people don't look at when it comes to real estate. If the only thing that you're looking at is your cash on cash return versus the S&P, you've lost before you even talk about the exchange losses. I mean, it's a strong double digit return. I don't care what period of history you look at. You can look at the downturn. It's still a strong double digit return because there's 4 of them. So if one of them stops working, like appreciation during the last crisis, there's still 3 other ones that are working, and that's not even to count what you were just talking about with your tax bill. If you pay the taxes on that, what happens?
Plus the tax benefits of depreciation, especially with 100% bonus depreciation coming back, like the short STR loophole, like just real estate. Real estate was just made for offsetting your tax bill. Like there's so many things you can do in real estate that no other investment's going to let you do that.
And generating generational wealth, like we talked about. I mean, it really is the best tool. The only thing else the only other thing that I've seen that even rivals it at all is creating a business like you've done, and like I've done, many other people have done. But businesses are really the only other way that you can create the same type of wealth as you can with real estate. Parting words for everybody listening, Daniel.
Look, 1031 exchanges can seem complex, and they certainly can. Most of them are very vanilla, straightforward. If you don't know what a 1031 exchange is, reach out to us. If you have an investment property, it's something every single person should consider. And we've made it free to where you can preserve the option to at least try one out. And if you don't find a good property, still cancel. It's still free. But if you have the option to keep more of your money versus giving it to Uncle Sam, keep more of your money.
Yeah. And, I think when people try to do these on their own, sometimes they can be really complicated. I don't even know how many 1031 exchanges we've done over the years. And I can count on like one hand the number of them that we've missed. And those were probably early on where we didn't know the same things that we know today about construction and things like that. And even in those instances, I think what people don't realize, Daniel, is that there are some really creative, it's not like one way and that's the only way you can do it. There are some really creative solutions. If stuff isn't working right, there's some really creative workarounds to still make your exchange, still make the deadlines. And so
we could have a whole podcast episode on that. On the different, there's so many people are coming out with so many cool, there's so many ways to save a potentially failed exchange that just didn't exist. There's a product now where they're creating it like a DST, but you're actually they took the best parts of a triple net lease and a DST, and you can go into like the single family home investment. There's a lot of really creative people out there coming up with cool things.
Again, going back to what we were talking about earlier with, just being creative, but then actually taking action on it. If you have an exchange, if you have an exchange that's open and you don't have properties, you should call us. We can help you for sure. And, if you've got a property that you're thinking about selling or that is on the market in any way, you're thinking about doing a 1031 exchange, you should definitely reach out to Daniel and his team. Because like you said, you lose nothing by trying. And between his team and my team, there's no way we don't help you get your exchange.
Your team's been amazing. You guys offer some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Likewise, and more cool stuff coming from both of us. So stay tuned, everybody. I hope you learned a lot about 1031 exchanges. I hope you appreciate what Daniel and his team have done and the way they've done it. And I hope you take a lesson from that. If you're sitting there with a brilliant idea and you actually go execute it, because disrupting something is really a whole lot of fun. It's an absolute blast. So I encourage everybody to do it.
It's hard work, but nothing good comes easy, right? But yeah, I recommend everyone, it's never been easier to get started now, especially with a bunch of all these AI tools. It's never been easier to start something and take action, and for a low investment, honestly. But yeah, this has been awesome, Ron.
Yeah, I appreciate you hanging out with us. And until next week, everybody, get out there and make something happen.
This has been the Get Real Podcast. To subscribe and for more information, including a list of all episodes, go to getrealestatesuccess.com.